I'm on the edge.
I was gonna say, living on the edge
of sneezing.
Hey, it's Sue.
And Megan, the Spine Breakers. And today we are going to be doing an October wrap up. I forgot what month we were talking about for a second, so I was trying to stall. October.
And we're drinking Texas Porter from Lakewood Brewing, which is from Texas, Garland, Texas.
From Texas.
I've already had one. Not today, but
Previously. I think
it's pretty good. I mean, it's just
pretty
kind of
tasty.
a typical porter.
It's pretty standard porter.
There's nothing too special about it. They make a really, really good stout. So I finished 4 books this month.
Excuse me. And I apparently only finished 1 book this month, or in October. I did start 3 others that I'm in the middle of, but did not finish. Probably because I started 3 others.
Yeah. I didn't do so hot on my October TBR. I only read 2 of them.
God.
But I did start 1. I'm about a third of the way through.
He just like put his dick in my hand.
Ew.
When he jumped up here, his
Murphy.
dick just like went up in my hand.
Ugh.
Buddy, I don't want to do that.
He's like, I didn't want to do it either. It just happened. All right, so I guess I will start.
Yeah.
So first, I finally fucking finished White is for Witching by Helen Oyeyemi. And I've been trying to read this book for like 3 months or something. And it wasn't because, like, it didn't take me so long because it was bad. It was just, there was a lot of readathons happening that I had to put it down for. And it also just is a slow moving book. It's not super compelling. But that's, but that's not necessarily a bad thing to me. Now my hand is trapped over here, but now I feel like he's falling because his butt is
I got him.
barely on my hip.
Butter, you are such a fucking disaster. I don't understand why you're like this. Okay. That's alright.
He's falling. He's falling. Murphy.
I'm sorry, buddy. Okay.
So, anyway, so this is about, it mainly follows this young woman named Miranda who has pica, which is an eating disorder where you feel compelled to eat non-food
items.
Which can obviously be very dangerous in a lot of different ways. In her case, she eats a lot of chalk.
Ooh.
And so the main problem is that she just doesn't get the nutrition that she needs. So she's like wasting away. Murphy.
You are being a colossal pest right now. Yes, that was his issue. Okay. It's a very strange book. It's a little bit difficult to even fully explain what it's about, I would say, because it's just an odd little slow book about this family that all the women in the family like disappear at some point and all have to seem to have maybe like mental illness issues. Like one of her relatives, like her grandmother or great grandmother, also had pica and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a strange little book, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was, like I said before, it was really slow moving, but I thought it was really beautifully written. And I ended up counting it for a Read Harder challenge because parts of it are from the point of view of their house. Oh, that's interesting.
So it counted for that challenge of a book from a inanimate object point of view. Yeah. So I think I gave it, I want to say 3.5 stars.
Okay.
Maybe 4, but I think 3.5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you may as well go again.
Okay.
Dive right in.
So next, I finally read The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which this has been on my shelf for an embarrassingly long time. Like, I think I bought this when I was in college.
Okay.
And I graduated college in 2010.
know. But, you know, I'm sure everyone knows the story of this, but just in case you don't, it's about a young man who is very beautiful. So he wishes that he would not grow old or not show any of his sins or whatnot on his face, and that this painting that was done for him would do it instead. And so his wish comes true, and this painting becomes old and ugly, and he doesn't. But his soul becomes old and ugly.
Ooh.
Not that ugly people are old, but he does a lot of bad things, and that also shows up on his face.
I wish that was, total sidebar, but I wish that was like a real life thing. Like if you were a trash human,
Yeah.
I wish it would be reflected upon your face, and if you were a good human, like I wish that was reflected upon your face as well. So that way you could just look at people and know who to avoid.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
that's kind of the point of, like, don't judge people by their appearance.
I know.
So anyway, I really, like, this book was pretty hyped to me. A lot of people really love it, and I thought it was really great. It
Nice.
lived up to the hype. I mean, Oscar Wilde is a really great, clever author.
Awesome. I'm excited to
I
read it.
think I gave it 4.5 stars.
Nice.
Because there was this one chapter about this book that is highly influential to Dorian, and is kind of part of the reason why he does so many bad things. But the chapter about that book was long and boring.
Fair. So 4.5 stars.
So 4.5.
Not 5 stars. So the book that I finished was an audiobook that I listened to while I was wood burning. And that was We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. And I love Grady Hendrix. Like, I think the books that he writes are very entertaining, and they make horror maybe a little bit more accessible because they're not like, they're funny or they're pop culture influenced, and so they're a little bit more accessible and less like full on creepy.
Yeah.
But this was about a band who had done really well, but then they broke up, and so now they're all older. It's years later, they're all older, they're in their 50s. None of them are really very successful except for this one member who is who looks really young, and he's like going out on tour again with his band that he formed after their band broke up. And so shenanigans ensue, and I mean, obviously from the title there's some soul selling going on, but it's maybe not as, maybe not what you think. So,
Okay.
but yeah. And also, like, what happens when someone sells their soul, like, afterwards is pretty gross in that book. It's just kind of icky. So.
Okay.
But it was really good. Lots of music references, and it was a really fun to listen to.
So we've had a slight change of frame because my camera is dying, so we had to plug it in and shift a little bit. But anyway,
My aloe.
the next book that I finished was an audiobook also, and it was called Whispers and Other Strange Stories by Crina-Ludmila Cristea. And the author kindly sent me a code to get this audiobook for free. So thank you. But this is a collection of short horror stories. They kind of, I would describe them as like campfire stories for adults. Like definitely for adults, because there's some like disturbing stuff in there and some, adult stuff in there.
Right.
But they're kind of like short little pieces, and like I would call them fun, but we call
weird things fun.
Weird
So
shit fun.
if you like horror, they're probably fun.
Yeah, and I thought that the audiobook was well done. My only critique of it would be that there wasn't enough of a pause between stories. So it was like it just went right into the next one, and sometimes I wouldn't realize for a little bit that it was a new story, and I'd be like, what the fuck's going on?
I don't understand.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really good overall. I thought it was well written. I gave it, I think, 3.5 stars.
3.5?
3.5.
3.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sue had sent me the code for that book as well, so I'm looking forward to listening to it.
Oh, it's me again.
It's you again.
It's me again, Margaret. Anybody get that?
Anybody know
Margaret? Anybody know what that's from? No? So the last book I finished is From Here to Eternity. Traveling the World to Find the Good Death by Doughty. So she is the author of Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, which is a pretty well-known memoir that she wrote about being a mortician, or working in a crematorium, I should say. But she traveled around to different cultures and learned about their death rituals, and she just wrote about them in this book, and it was really interesting. And there's illustrations of, you know, some of the things that she saw. I think maybe that was sort of an attempt to like be respectful by not taking photos, but still
show you what she's
seeing. One of the biggest things that she advocates for is to spend time with a loved one's body. Like, people in our culture, we want to just like not talk about or not think about death as much as possible. So when someone dies, they're just like rushed out of there.
Right, and then we go ahead and embalm them and make them look alive.
Right.
You know, or whatever.
Oh, and there's a kind of a misconception that like dead bodies are somehow dangerous, that they could, you know, give you disease or something, which is not true. In fact, I think dead bodies are probably less dangerous than live bodies because they're not going to sneeze on you or cough on you. And also, like, diseases won't live. Any disease they might have had will probably die within a couple of hours.
Yeah, most diseases. Hepatitis C actually doesn't. Hep C lives for like days outside the body, which is why it's so contagious. Which is terrifying.
As long as your loved one doesn't have Hep C. Yeah, she really encourages people to like spend time with the bodies and like do something for your loved one. And that's what she kind of describes in these different cultures, is that a lot of them spend a lot of time with their loved ones' bodies after they've died, and also like do services for them. And it's really like helps you, I think, accept their death, and also makes you feel sort of a sense of closure, I think, to like do something for them.
Right.
Yeah. And we just don't really do that for the most part in our culture, and a lot of people are really appalled by some of these practices that these other cultures do, but they're appalled
by what we do.
Because also, like, if you read Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, she describes what goes into embalming, and it's horrifying.
It's very violent. It's really gruesome and it's violent. But
our culture also is, a lot of people are choosing cremation these days instead of...
I would want that, or I would want like a natural burial. Like, just toss my body in the dirt.
I would want a natural burial. The only thing that makes me not want to get cremated is that I would love if I was like excavated someday.
That'd be pretty boss.
I want someone to dig up my bones.
And then would you like it if they did the whole like facial reconstruction thing? Like, this is what she might have looked like in life.
I would love that.
That'd be pretty cool. I mean, that assumes that we don't fuck things up so much that there's no planet left by that time.
Right. But I would love to do the thing where they bury your body under a tree, so you nourish, they like plant a tree on top of you, so you nourish the tree. But I'd love if my bones like grew up into the tree, and I was just like...
You should have somebody like tape your fingers down so that you grew out of the tree like this. Like, that would be so metal.
My tongue would be gone.
Yeah, you wouldn't have a tongue, but you would, I mean, that'd be
or
really
I could do it like this,
do horns. That'd be pretty boss. I mean, that's like
that would be great. But she also said, because I guess there's a thing where you can be cremated and then have your ashes planted under a tree.
That's what I want.
But she said that you're not actually nourishing that tree, because when you're cremated, there's no organic matter left.
No, it's just carbon. Like, you burn everything useful. So like, what I would like is to be cremated, and then like little vials of my ashes and little saplings be given to like everyone who was important to me, so that they could go and like bury me with the tree. And then, I mean, I wouldn't nourish the tree, but it would be, you know, like a living memoriam. I don't understand the point of a stone or like a fucking casket
also,
taking up space.
Putting caskets in the ground is just more pollution, really.
It really is. Yeah, it's not great.
And you're gonna run out of room. Yeah,
and like also certain global catastrophes, it doesn't really matter how deeply you're buried, you're coming out of there. You know, like that's why in places like New Orleans, like they have to do those
like a mausoleum.
Yeah, because if they bury you, they flood so often that like, boop, here you come. So I don't know, I really love I love Caitlin Doughty's books, because I love the idea of like being a little bit more comfortable and accepting of death, because you're gonna miss that person, obviously, and like that's a big gap that they're leaving in your life, but like we're all going to die. at some point, and so being accepting of that, I love her books though.
Yeah.
They're really interesting.
Yeah, she's a really good writer, and she's really funny. She does a really good job of like incorporating humor, but also being respectful.
Yes. Take her lead, Mary Roach.
I have not read Mary Roach, but
I'm still
Megan was
bitter.
not a fan.
No, I'm still bitter about Stiff.
Yeah.
Would you like to
give
go
it- we're
outside?
almost-
We're almost
we're
done,
almost
you
done.
cow.
We're almost done.
She's gonna wreak havoc
like, nope.
until I let her outside. All right, come on.
And my copy of this is signed because I went and saw her when she was on her tour for this book. I also we both went and saw her when she
The
was
first time.
Yeah, the first time.
I was sick
She
the
came
second
here.
time.
Yeah,
So
so-
Sue was nice enough to take my copy and get it signed for me. And Caitlin Doughty wrote, "Where are you?"
Yeah. She asked me if she could. I think she put, "Where were you?"
She did.
And
Where were you?
she asked me if she could write that in it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, she'd like that."
I did like that. That was super funny.
I was so awkward. I'm so like socially awkward that I was very awkward meeting her. So
But she was really cool. Like, I really enjoyed meeting her, and I like listening to her talk.
yeah, she
like,
does
she's
great.
very interesting.
You can look up. I mean, she has a YouTube channel for one, Ask a Mortician. But she also has done like tons of like talks and whatnot that you can find on YouTube and stuff. And I was just listening to one the other day that was more about her than about anything else, but it was really funny. She's really good. But yeah, so highly recommend From Here
Yes.
to Eternity. I gave it 4 stars. I think the only thing that would like make it not 5 stars for me is that I think I wanted more for one thing,
I
because
did.
there wasn't that many places in here. There was a few, and some of them were places that she'd already talked about in Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, like the Buddhist this
Yes,
thing.
that thing.
I don't remember.
Yeah. No,
what
I
it's
wanted
called,
more
but she had
also.
talked about that in her first book. But
Here's my cat's butthole. Sorry.
yeah, sorry about that. 4 stars for that one, and that was all that I read in October. So yeah, and this beer, it's good,
It's
but
good.
I don't think it's like anything special.
No.
It just is like a
It's
typical
it's
porter, but
decent
it's a good porter.
Yeah, it's a good porter. It's a decent porter. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let us know what you guys read in October.
I don't know why we're saying October.
It's fun to say it that way.
That's Spanish, right? But pronounced very American.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've rambled a lot.
We've been rambling.
So-
So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.